This is a Saturday morning TV log from Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. Welcome, true believers and fellow YouTubers out there. Welcome to another Saturday morning TV log, and this time around it's Iron Man, brought to us by Marvel Entertainment Group and Marvel Films. Hi, everyone, and again to you true believers out there, I'm Duel, the Big D to you. This is Big D's Entertainment Rankings and Reviews. So this week's Saturday morning TV log is Iron Man, a series that originally aired as part of the Marvel Action Hour, as it premiered in syndication in 1994 along with the Fantastic Four, which I'll get to that later on. Now, of course, this isn't Iron Man's first time in animation. I do recall he appeared on Spider-Man's Amazing Friends, but that was just as a special appearance. But he did appear in his own animated series as part of the Marvel Superheroes Hour, well, not hour, show, excuse me, in 1966, which had Thor, the Submariner, uh, oh yeah, Captain America, and the Hulk. The show originally premiered in September of 1994, and this series was among the few television series to be re-recorded in THX. This may have been usual at the time for a motion picture, but it is rare for a television series. Now, co-production with Marvel is Rainbow Animation Korea. Now, here's our... Although only lasting a mere 2 seasons, Iron Man was the subject of a major overhaul between seasons when its production studio was changed. The result was a massively changed premise, tone, and general approach, which left the disparate seasons scarcely recognizable as being two halves of the same series. Now, the first season of the show featured a little more than a Masters of the Universe style battle of good against evil, as billionaire industrialist Tony Stark battled the evil forces of the world-conquering Mandarin as the armored superhero Iron Man. In his evil endeavors to steal Stark's technology and Iron Man's armor, the Mandarin led a group of villains consisting of a few that are well known in the Marvel Universe, including Dread Knight, Blizzard, Blacklash, Grey Gargoyle, Whirlwind, Living Laser, MODOK, Fin Fang Foom, and even Justin Hammer, plus an exclusive character, Hypnotia. To combat these villains, Iron Man had the help of his own team based on ForceWorks, a then current comic book team which has since faded into obscurity, including Sentry, War Machine, aka James Rhodey Rhodes, Scarlet Witch, Hawkeye replacing the U.S. agent from the comics, and Spider-Woman. No, not the one. No, not the original. This was Julia Carpenter. That was her alias, and that was this Spider-Woman. Now the season consisted mostly of single episode open and shut case adventures, with two-part stories laid towards the end. Unlike many other Marvel animated series, despite featuring over-the-top titles that pay homage to the early Stan Lee written Marvel comics of the 60s, for example, The Grim Reaper Wears a Teflon Coat and Rejoice, I Am Ultimo, Thy Deliverer. Almost none of these episodes were adaptations of comic book stories, consisting instead of original stories penned by Ron Friedman, occasionally collaborated on by Stan Lee himself. The closest the season came to adapting a comic book tale was in the two-part The Origin of Iron Man, which recounted a modified and modernized version of the character's comic book origin, just before the season concluded, which of course Stan Lee has a live-action introduction before both this and Fantastic Four. Now, lots of other episodes that continued on. Let's see. Well, I guess I can continue. Anyway, this late-run recounting of the title character's origin is symptomatic of what is generally thought of as the season's greatest weakness, despite, or perhaps because of, having such a large cast of characters. Very few of the show's heroes and villains were actually developed in any way, leaving viewers unaware of their personal stories and powers. The show is generally held to have been at its best when filling in these origin blanks. For example, MODOK in Enemy Without, Enemy Within, or Iron Man and the Mandarin in their self-titled The Origin of episodes. But these were rare occasions, with virtually every other plot simply consisted of the Mandarin attempting to steal Stark's newest invention and being bested, often through the very strange and illogical means, with the nadir perhaps being Iron Man somehow using the energy of a small tape player to restore his armor to full power. In the episode Silence My Companion, Death My Destination. A small subplot in the first season revolves around Mandarin secretly spying on Force Works. And it culminates in the wedding of Iron Man, when Stark realizes they have been spied on by reviewing events from previous episodes and explaining how Mandarin's forces always knew where they would be. Realizing that Mandarin has acquired enough information to potentially deduce the true identity of Iron Man, and the entire episode's plot is dedicated to resolving the problem, culminating in Iron Man and his team setting up an elaborate deception where Mandarin sees Iron Man and Tony Stark in the same place, with the intention being to convince him that the two men are not the same person. Tony, in this situation, was an android. Now, of course, in this first season, the subtle keyboard's main theme is created by the legendary progressive rock artist Keith Emerson, most known today for his work on the supergroup Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and for his soundtrack to Dario Argento's 1980 horror flick Inferno, which of course I've already reviewed. In 1995, the second season started, and they went to a new animation studio, as previously mentioned. The animation for the first season was done by Rainbow Animation Group. The second one was done by Coco Enterprises. I just couldn't catch it just yet. And with it came new writers, as Ron Friedman was replaced by Tom Taranowicz, who had recently worked on Filmation shows, including like He-Man, for example, and he also worked on their last few shows, including She-Ra, Princess of Power, Ghostbusters, and Brave Star. He also would work on Biker Mice from Mars as well. And new music for each sequence, coupled with a new direction for the series. The first song's theme song was replaced in the second season by an intense electric guitar theme composed by William Kevin Anderson, featuring the repeated refrain of "I am Iron Man," while showing Tony Stark beating red-hot iron plates into shape with a blacksmith's hammer, possibly to mimic the Black Sabbath song Iron Man. Tony Stark's longer hairstyle in the second season was based upon the artist Mark Bright's depiction of Stark from the late 1980s, which is where most of the episodes from season 2 were based upon. In the first season, the series seemed to follow the look of an early 90s Marvel comic, specifically artist Paul Ryan's take on Iron Man. One major change was that, like the comics, Tony Stark's worsening medical condition, brought upon by a missile striking him in the season premiere, causing severe damage to his already ill body, required him to need periodic recharges of his body battery, represented as a piece of cybernetic tech over his right pectoral muscle, to keep him alive, akin to how in the comics, Tony needed his armor's chest plate to keep him alive, though unlike in the comics, he did not need to wear the chest plate at all times. Another major change was that Tony could literally change armors on the fly, represented as vocalizing the name of the specific armor, which would then appear in place of his usual suit in a ring of energy, and would similarly revert to his usual armor as necessary. In addition to the Hydro, Stealth, and Space armors as seen in the comics, several new armors were invented for the second season, and in turn for the toy line, which I believe it was done by Toy Biz. Specifically magnetic, able to give up electromagnetic charges, radiation used for situations involving contaminated areas, Inferno for firefighting, Subterranean for drilling underground, and Samurai, never actually used in combat. However, prolonged use of his specialized armors will often leave Tony's power levels low and endangering in his life. New storylines spanned multiple episodes and were no longer open and shut cases. They formed a linking narrative featuring themes of duplicity, consequence, and phobias. Also, the stories were no longer centered on the Mandarin, whose rings had been scattered and whose power had been depleted. While the Mandarin did appear in these episodes, his appearances were reduced to cameos in the cliffhangers at the end of each story as he tried to retrieve each ring. Another change was that Forceworks was mostly written out of the series, parting ways with Stark after he deceives them in order to work in secret with the Mandarin when Fin Fang Foom and his fellow dragons were plotting to eliminate Earth. When Stark's counterplan against Justin Hammer, which includes faking his death without the knowledge of his teammates, leads to a disbanding of Forceworks. Spider-Woman Julia Carpenter and James Rhodes are the only ones who continue to work with Stark. This split would be revisited with Stark's ensuing conflicts with Hawkeye over the course of several episodes. Also, War Machine develops a phobia of being trapped inside his armor, also based on a then current comic storyline. But this is resolved before the final episode. While Rhodes was active as War Machine in the first season, he remained out of armor for the majority of the second season due to reliving a tragic drowning experience while being trapped underwater in the War Machine armor in the episode Fire and Rain. Rhodes eventually overcomes his fear and dons the War Machine armor once again for the episode Distant Boundaries. Prior to finding his last two rings, the Mandarin claims his eighth ring from MODOK in the episode Empowered. And that episode was the clip show of the season, purpose being that the Mandarin wanted to learn of Iron Man's recent activities. In the series finale, the Mandarin, having regained all of his rings, unleashes a mist using the Heart of Darkness to render everything technological useless. Iron Man reunites with Forceworks in order to stop him. The Mandarin unmasks Iron Man before their final showdown ends in his death. More specifically, Iron Man manages to reflect the power of Mandarin's rings, destroying them, and ultimately leaving the Mandarin with amnesia and helpless before a band of mountain bandits who likely killed him. After the death of the Mandarin, MODOK and the rest of Mandarin's henchmen were sent to jail. After disappointing reigns for the series ended in in 1996, in February of 1996. But I do believe it continued in reruns, though. However, some of the characters actually did appear in the Spider-Man animated series, which debuted on the Fox network the same year it came out, as well as the Incredible Hulk animated series, which premiered on the UPN network after the show had been canceled. Anyway, I remember watching this, and I really think this show's awesome. Both versions are really good. I like the second season a little bit more because not just because it's all dark and what have you, but I do like its energetic electric guitar theme and what have you. Now, the show has been released on physical media before, and it did get released in the US in 2010. Now, of course, the full series is currently available to stream on Disney Plus. You'll be happy to know there was an 8-issue comic book series based on the show that Marvel did from November 1994 to June 1995. Now, as for our cast of voices, we have Robert Hayes, who you may know best from the Airplane movies and Homeward Bound: The Incredible Journey, voicing Iron Man, aka Tony Stark, as well as Living Laser. Now, War Machine and James Rhodes originally was voiced by the late great James Avery, who was already well known for playing on TV's The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and was already known for voicing Shredder on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. But he only did him for the first 5 seasons, and Dorian Harewood took over for the rest of the series run. He also voiced Whirlwind for the first 10 episodes of the series, and also Blacklash for the first season. Ed Gilbert, if I remember correctly, yes, I'm pretty sure who recently lent his voice to like the Transformers, G.I. Joe, Kissy Fur, and Brave Star, and and as well, and also Tailspin. Let me check. I'm just checking to make sure I didn't miss it. Okay. Voices the Mandarin for the first season, as well as Grey Gargoyle and Ultimo. Robert Eo took over Mandarin's voice for the second season. Jim Cummings, who was already big at the time voicing Winnie the Pooh, voices MODOK. He did Sentry in one episode and many other supporting characters and stand-ins for other characters. Now, aside from this being the second voice for War Machine and James Rhodes, Dorian Harewood voiced Whirlwind for episode 11, season 1 onwards, Blacklash for the second season, and the character Stiltman. John Riley voices Hawkeye, Clint Barron, to us. Catherine Moffat voices Wanda Frank, aka Scarlet Witch, for the first season. Linda Holdall voiced Hypnotia for the first season. Jennifer Darling, also from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, she voiced Irma. She also recently lent her voice to the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon. She voiced Scarlet Witch and Hypnotia in the second season. Spider-Woman in her A-list, Julia Carminer was originally voiced by Casey DeFranco for the first season, and Jennifer Hale, who also was a voice actress on Spider-Man, the animated series, voiced her in the second season. Soon, James Warwick took over the voice actor for Sentry, and then we also have Tom Kane voicing Sentry in the episode Hands of the Mandarin. And then there's lots of others. They include Phil Abbott voicing Nick Fury. Let's see, Neil Dixon voicing Dread Knight. Chuck McCann voicing Blizzard. Neil Ross voicing Fin Fang Foom. He did voice Blizzard in one episode, The Beast Within. Tony Steedman voiced Justin Hammer for the first season, and in the second season, he's voiced by Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., who was already well known for who was already voicing Alfred on Batman the Animated Series, and he was also the voice of Doc Ock in Spider-Man the Animated Series. With the success of the Iron Man movie out in 2008, the show actually also got rerun on the Toon Disney Jags block. But it also got shown on Fox Family and the ABC Family too, before Freeform too, I think. But anyway, I think you'll know who the characters are when you get a look at them and what have you. So anyway, I think you should give Iron Man a watch. If you got Disney Plus, then that's where you'll have good luck in finding it. And again, as I've said before, it is on physical media. I'm not sure how much for the price it would be. I think it could be at a reasonable price. Just take a wee bit of a look. It's, well, in ways it is at a decent price and what have you, if you can find it. Well, like on eBay. I'm not sure about Amazon though, but okay, yeah, you can get for a pretty decent. Okay, yeah, I checked. You can get for a decent price on Amazon as well, if you want it on physical media, just in case you don't have Disney Plus. So now you know about Iron Man. It'd be tough to show you all the characters, but I think you'll know what they are when you see the show, okay? So what did you think of the Iron Man animated series from 1994? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like this video, click the like button, subscribe, and be a part of the Big D Nation. And we'll have another video coming up real soon. So if you enjoyed this, check out these other Saturday Morning TV Logs on Marvel superheroes. In the upper left-hand corner is the Saturday Morning TV Log on X-Men. The upper right-hand corner is the episode on Spider-Man, the animated series, also from 1994. Or if you like some classic Marvel, go to the bottom left-hand corner and see the Saturday Morning TV Log on Spider-Man's Amazing Friends from 1981. And the bottom right-hand corner is a button you can click to subscribe. If you like rankings and reviews on movies, TV, music, video games, etc., as well as the Saturday Morning TV Log, then I'm your guy. Thanks for watching, and next week's Saturday Morning TV Log is Tenko and the Guardians of the Magic. So until next time, true believers, I'm the Big D saying see ya and Excelsior!